It's a football rivalry to match few others, but here on Inside Out we don't like to take sides. That's why we've come here near Titchfield, exactly halfway along the 16.2 miles that separate Pompey from the Saints. And on Saturday we were right in the middle of it, as Hampshire police worked to keep the peace.
Match day starts early on the south coast. It's 5 AM and Portsmouth officers are at Fratton Station looking for their usual suspects.
We're here to try and see if any of our risk group, or the people who are likely to go looking for trouble, are trying to get into Southampton early. So we're going to check all the trains this morning. It's a game, really. We've got to try and find them. They're going to try and avoid us, and you know, it's see who comes out on top at the end.
Mick's expert knowledge of the Pompey crowd will help his Southampton colleagues identify known troublemakers.
How many people are we talking about here? What's the sort of numbers on your, sort of high risk list?
Our group probably numbers about 20 to 30 on most matches, males mainly. They're not always intent on fighting, but some of them will become engaged in disorder if the opportunity arises. Our job is to find them, identify them, and then we'll just keep track on them during the day.
Before heading to Southampton, Mick gives his kit a final once-over, including his bag of riot gear, which was needed in a previous South Coast derby.
It was 03 when Portsmouth played Southampton. We had the trouble in Fratton. Yeah, officers were wearing that type of kit. Hopefully we won't have to today.
Yeah, we've got about 260, 270 officers involved in it. Significant fixture for Hampshire Constabulary. It's the first time in 5 years they've met. Some history of disorder, although that was some time ago now. And it's about having the right people with the right skills, putting them in the right place at the right time.
An hour and a half before kick-off, and the main army of visiting Portsmouth fans has arrived. The waiting police will try to keep them tightly corralled all the way to the stadium. It's a route which has already been walked by those officers running today's operation.
So this is your first construction area.
It's potential for use of any of this as weapons if it came to that. It's an easy thing for some of the bricks and debris that's here for those intent on disorder. And it may be, as part of the planning, we put officers close by to this to deter anybody who's got an interest in that sort of thing.
The most highly charged area is likely to be a bridge and subway near the ground.
This sort of subway we're coming up to is your first sort of chance where groups of fans are likely to meet. If you wanted to sort of taunt and goad people, you'd stand up on the edge here
On the top here
and just chuck stuff down or whatever. Southampton fans who are sort of generally just going to be coming unescorted just because they'll be living around here will just be walking straight into what will be a sea of Portsmouth fans, and it's just managing that so that the first meeting is, friendly and positive.
Meanwhile, Southampton fans are hurried towards the stadium to clear a safe path for Pompey supporters as they're marched through town.
We want to pin them down, we want to box them up so they can't go anywhere, and if they do go anywhere, we go with them. And we'll bring them up controlled so they can't just ping off somewhere and start trying to have disorder. So we just keep control of them, really.
A lot of fans actually feel quite comforted by that, I imagine.
They do, yeah. We've got a lot of decent people who will be in amongst that, and they'll find that as protective as opposed to being too over the top. So jumping over down there.
Suddenly, moments before the Portsmouth crowd are due to come through, a group of Southampton lads appear from nowhere, seemingly intent on trouble. The police are forced to act quickly, and Mick reaches for his camera to gather evidence, even though many of them have their faces covered.
They're shouting off, they're trying to find other risk supporters to have a fight with. What we'll try and do now is control these. We've not got enough officers here at the moment, but we'll try and box them and keep them together and move them down. We're trying to disperse them by the looks of it, and that's to move them on and not let them gather.
They were all Southampton. That's the sort of Southampton youth element we've been
Yeah, it
about.
is, yeah.
And it's quite a good number of them. They'd be feeling quite confident in those sort of numbers, wouldn't they?
Yes, yeah, they'll be feeling quite up for it in that number, and the pack mentality will come out with them, unfortunately. Even the decent people will not think twice about getting involved. So.
Come on, you son! Come on, you son!
Well, Southampton fans seem fairly well contained, sort of 500 yards that way, and being moved off towards the ground, and that leaves room now for the Portsmouth fans coming up from the station.
Out of sight of our camera, Mick spots known troublemakers and wants evidence recorded just in case.
Guy with a blue jacket right in front, Henry Lloyd. keep him on box. If he does anything else, we'll have him next, yeah? Simon, this lot here are ours. Just the other side. Grab hold and we'll put him in a box. Simon, stay there, please. Come here, fella. Come here, and you. Just stay there.
They don't even remember why they hate each other, do they? I mean, how does the tribalism work?
Well, I think one side's blue, one side's red, and the colours, you know, that I think you'll find a lot of people don't know any of the history at all. They just know that they're supposed to hate Southampton and Southampton are supposed to hate Portsmouth, but they probably don't understand why.
As predicted, this narrow section by the bridge near the stadium is where it starts to get really tense. With police and Portsmouth fans surrounded, missiles are thrown and fans try to get at their rivals. All the while, footage is being gathered, and if need be, arrests can be made later.
It's starting to get a bit more violent and some balls and bricks and things were being thrown. It didn't last for very long. We pulled the children out and moved them on ahead to keep them safe.
It's a near thing, but police are just able to hold their line between the fans, who finally make their way to the turnstiles and turn their minds to the football.
Well, it's 12:30, kickoff is imminent, and unfortunately not all the Pompey fans are yet in. They're all being searched and have their tickets checked. They'll get in pretty soon, but I guess this small hold-up is a result of some of the disturbances coming in.
Loud blast of the whistle. The 36th South Coast derby between Southampton and Portsmouth is underway.
For the police, the 90 minutes provide time to make sure all the barriers are in place for when the fans re-emerge.
We're just minutes away from the final whistle. The Portsmouth fans are about to pile out of these gates here. It looks pretty certain they're going to go home happy, having beaten Southampton for the first time in the FA Cup. But interestingly, during the game, the police have been analysing some pictures of trouble earlier, identifying the fans within the stadium, and so far they've made 2 arrests.
The game finished anyway, so they'll be coming out any minute now. It's 4-1 to Portsmouth.
Pretty decisive in the end.
Yeah, it was a decisive win. Saves us going back to Portsmouth in 10 days, so I'm fairly relieved. So
the whole force must be fairly relieved.
Yes, absolutely. So we've just got this to contend with now, so let's get on with it.
But when fans emerge, a clash erupts. A Southampton group cuts through a car showroom to try to get close to their victorious rivals.
This is just a garage just down the road. Some Southampton fans have pushed a barrier over. They've got a load of bricks and they're trying to throw them towards the Portsmouth fans and the police as well.
Only a short distance separates the two factions as police try to stop the departing Pompey crowd from being drawn in.
The little outburst back there has got all the Pompey fans together, hasn't it?
Yeah, they seem to have all grouped together back there because we held them till we could clear an area. But as you can see behind, Southampton are going to try and come through our police line.
At least you know where the Southampton youth element, the risk element there is.
Yeah, there's a large element there. I wouldn't say all of those were risk. They're just people who've come out for today. They probably wouldn't normally do this.
Within sight of the station and away from the main group, a few persistent individuals are still spoiling for a fight.
Move! Get moving!
With punches thrown, Mick has to act decisively.
Stay there!
In all, 11 arrests have been made, with more likely to follow. But with no serious injuries on either side, the police will consider this a good day's work.
Well, that's it. Final whistle for these Portsmouth fans. They're all together now on this train, heading back home.
It's now a big relief. They're moving off. They're going away back to Portsmouth. We can all just stand down slowly, finish the operation, and then I'm going for a big beer.